scientists, it's Miss Eel here from Bonita Springs Charter School. I'm so excited to see all of you. I am here to talk about science tools and what tools scientists use when they're exploring and discovering the world. So I'm going to take you in here for a closer look and show you one of our science tools. This science tool here is a microscope. This microscope is used to magnify objects. And you would just turn the magnifiers to make it become closer, whatever you have underneath of there. Now, these are prepared slides. A prepared slide goes underneath the microscope, and this microscope magnifies the object that is on there. So I would turn this, I would look through my microscope, and I would be able to see the object nice and close up because it magnifies it. Another tool that we have is a magnifying glass. This magnifying glass helps magnify objects as well. It is used to get a closer view on things. Whoa! Okay, another science tool that we use a lot in science are magnets. Magnets have a north and a south pole. Magnets attract each other and repel. If it's a south-south end, it repels. If it's north-south, it attracts each other. Things that are magnetic are iron, cobalt, nickel. Your scissors in your classroom, they are attracted to magnets. Do you think you could name some other things that are attracted to magnets? Another science tool is tweezers. They're also called forceps. So another name for tweezers is called forceps. Now tweezers pick up small, tiny objects that scientists need to use, and they also don't want to touch with their fingers. The smallest, tiniest objects. Could you think of some objects that tweezers would pick up for science? Another science tool is a funnel. Now, I have this container here, and I'm wanting to pour liquid into it, but whoa, I don't want to spill this all over the floor. So a good way to make sure that the liquid can go into this container is I would use what is called a funnel. And so I'm going to put my funnel over top of my container, and then I'm going to take my liquid and pour it in. Now if I get it too high, I don't want it to overflow at the top. So then the funnel will pour the water in, will help pour the water into the container nicely. Another science tool is an eyedropper. Another name for an eyedropper could also be a pipette. A pipette is this type. This is an eyedropper. So I can take small amounts of water and suck it up and pull it and then just drop small amounts of water. Now another trick to use and to do with a pipette is how many drops of water do you think would cover a penny? So if everyone had a penny and you put it down and you wanted to cover that penny in water, you could use an eyedropper to see how many drops it would take to cover the penny. And I want you to make an educated guess right now how many drops you think it would take to cover the penny. Now there are so many tools that scientists use to measure everything. Anything from liquid, anything from a solid. So I'm going to show you some tools over here that we would use to measure. This right here is a tape measure. Now I might take this tool and I could measure how tall I am. I could also measure how big my head is. And I could do that with using the side that is inches. Now if I wanted to know a precise amount, I might turn it over and use centimeters, cm for centimeters. So on a tape measure, there are inches and there are centimeters. So that's one type of a tape measure. Another type of a tape measure that you might have seen is one like this. This tape measure also has inches at the top and centimeters at the bottom. Could you think of something that might be 12 inches? A ruler is 12 inches. What could be 1 foot and what would be 12 inches? Something that could be 12 inches. All right, now I have a volunteer here, and this is Jackson, this is my son. So what we're gonna do is I told him we're going to use the science tool that is a stopwatch. Now a stopwatch is going to record him, and it's going to record how many jumping jacks that Jackson can do in 1 minute. So when I hit start, he's gonna start doing jumping jacks. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. On your mark, get set, go. And we're counting it down to 1 minute. Keep going. Good job. 10 seconds, he's already done. 20 seconds. Wow, he still has 40 more seconds to go. Keep going, bud. How many jumping jacks can you do? This isn't easy. PE and science in a workout together. 40 seconds. All right. Keep going. Almost. Keep going. We're on 50 seconds. Keep going. You're doing so good. And when it gets to 60 seconds, that's a minute. Minute. Wow. Good job. Now he's exhausted. But what I wonder is, did you count how many jumping jacks you did? I hope they did on the video. Good luck. Now I have 3 science tools here that are used to measure the volume of a liquid. My first one that I have is a graduated cylinder. Now my graduated cylinder measures the liquid by milliliters. And it starts all the way down at the bottom and it says 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 milliliters. According to this graduated cylinder, what is the number that is on of how much water is in this graduated cylinder? So if you could record how much water is in that graduated cylinder. Another way to measure with milliliters, this gets a little bit, that one's a little bit more precise. This is called a beaker. A beaker is glass. So if I wanted to put this on a Bunsen burner and have the water bubble or boil, I could because this is glass. Now this one, if you can look at it closely and tell me how many milliliters is the liquid in the beaker. How many milliliters is the liquid in the beaker? Okay. Another way we measure liquid is usually using a measuring cup. Now this measuring cup, a lot of you will see when your parents are cooking. All right, and I will tell you this one is a half a cup. This is a half a cup of water that is in the measuring cup. All right, so if you remind yourself again, these 3 objects measure the volume of liquid. next tool I have here is called a spring scale, a spring balance or Newton's meter. It's a type of mechanical force gauge, and it helps weigh objects. So what happens is this helps tell me the measurement of only weight. Okay, so what I would do is I would hook up maybe this water bottle to the spring scale. Oh, and I want to see the weight of it, how heavy it is. So if you want to know weight and how heavy this is, you would use a spring scale. Okay, the next science tool that we have is a thermometer. Now a thermometer is measured in Celsius or Fahrenheit. And in America we use the Fahrenheit side. And it starts and goes 0, 40, 20, 0, and it goes up by 20s, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. So if I was going to take this, I could measure the weather outside, but I can also measure the liquid. And so if I put this in the liquid, I'm going to see how much it measures the temperature of the liquid. Now this is dropped, and it is going down, and now between the 60 and the 70, those little points there, it goes up by 2s. So if I'm looking at this and I'm measuring, it says it is 60, 62, 64, 66. It's between the 66 and the 68. So the number between the 66 and the 68 is 67. So this liquid is 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Could you record that and say 67 degrees Fahrenheit and see if you know how to record this amount of liquid correctly? Now another type that we measure liquid is called a temperature probe. So this is my probe, and I put it into the water. And what would happen is my then temperature probe would get it a little bit more accurate, and this is saying it is 73 degrees Fahrenheit. So even though that one was a little bit different, this is saying it's 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Now if I pick up this and I put it into my hand, you're going to see that it's going to start to rise. And what you'll notice is that means I'm putting it into my hand, and it's seeing how hot my temperature of my body is. How hot the temperature is of my body. And so right now it's saying I'm 97 degrees. Now we use thermometers to also measure the temperature of our bodies. You get temperature checks at like the doctor's office and different places. And so this is a temperature probe that also measures the temperature of your body. Can you think how else we use a temperature probe? I know we use it for cooking, so what do we use a temperature probe for? Try to think if you could research that and figure it out. All right, Bonita Springs Charter School, thank you so much for joining me in the wonderful world of science. And I hope you got a lot of learning what science tools were. Different types of science tools. And my phone could be a science tool, because there's always an app that you could download to measure something. Or you could record and take pictures. So have a great day, and thanks for joining in.